I'm curious about like using something like fear or other emotions to sort of drive improvement. Was there like a formal process or like something that you thought about that helped you channel those things in a productive way?
I always go back to many, many years ago. I was 23 years old. This is back at IBM. I just finished my first project ever in the industry after 3 months of working on it. And I went to my manager's manager. His name was Jerry Kirkpatrick. And I said, "Hey, Jerry, I'm thinking about taking on the next project. How do I know that I picked the right project?" And Jerry goes, "Oh, this is easy. If you wake up in the morning thinking about the project and you say, 'Good morning, God,' you picked the right project. If you said, 'Good God' this morning, you picked the wrong project. So always make sure that you pick the right project." And I don't know if Jerry actually meant it that way or not, but he basically told me I need to be happy about my work every day, which is a tall order. Most people say, like, "Oh, if I'm happy about it 60%, 70% of the way, we're good." What kind of Jerry told me early, like as early when I was 23, is like, "No, you need to be happy about what you do every day." And so that's how I dealt with this. That was my formula when dealing with all these emotions. That I wake up in the morning and yes, you have, fear, anxiety, imposter syndrome, all these other emotions, but then you go counterbalance it, like, but am I happy? Am I excited about this work? Yeah. And as a major nerd, did I dream about how we're going to fix this bug or how we're going to implement something? Was code going through my head during the night, when working on coding? Uh, and if the answer is yes, then it's like that's what's going to keep me going. And then that's how I use these, the whole package, if you would, to drive me to, getting in the car, drive to work, or however you get to work. Uh, Having that extra spring in my heels and super excited about doing the work, and then going through the day. But that, like, I always tell that to everyone. It's like, are you happy coming to work every day to work on your next project? And if the answer is no, it's like, well, why don't you find something like that, or why don't you change something so it is like that? And you'll be surprised how people actually say, yes, that is the right bar. That the bar is not be happy 60% of the time. Let's be happy every day, as much as possible. In my opinion, uh, once you give yourself that tall order, stay with it, and then you will figure out how to manage everything else coming your way, to say, like, but look, this is what matters, this is why I'm here, this is why I woke up in the morning to do, and then that will make everything much, much easier and smoother.
We've talked a little bit about that moment of jumping into the unknown and some of like the process or just the experience of what happens afterwards. And I think what's so interesting is at a place like Meta, at the scale and the breadth of the things that you all touch and impact, I have to imagine there's a lot of different things to get involved with, and there's a lot of opportunity to figure that out. And I know that in March 2020, there was sort of another inflection point in terms of your role in reinventing yourself and jumping into the unknown. And so I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what was that moment and what was that experience like?
Up to that point, I also kind of achieved what I would say a good deal of success at Meta in my career and into the product. Video became a thing on Facebook when I started video. The video team was very small. People were not taking video to be a serious thing on Facebook, and it became a thing. We also started doing live, and live became a thing. Facebook Live became a thing, and so I start having all these good track record, if you would, and then the team size was larger, the scope was more, we were delivering on all good things, and then COVID hit. And COVID hit hard. We went from, like, within few days to few weeks to say everybody has to wear a mask, to lockdown, like you don't leave your house unless you need grocery, or unless very essential stuff. uh, and I looked at that moment and I'm like, how will people connect with each other? And they start using whatever you threw at them, even enterprise based tooling, so they can connect with each other and do a social visits online with each other. And so I had a choice. Do I keep sitting in my own comfortable position and here I am happy with a large team, and yeah, I will help out as needed, but on a volunteer basis? Or do I actually quit what I'm doing and jump into this new area, even though it's within Meta, and then start doing the work? And I reflected back on that moment, and I think it's now became some kind of a second nature for me to be high risk, high reward kind of person. And I immediately looked to say, like, what are our efforts in here? How are we going to connect people with each other? And I want to be part of that. So I quit my job and I switched to another role. And I looked at the effort that was happening, and I start going, hey, how do we connect people with each other? And like, oh, well, we have Messenger, we have the ability for to do audio video call. We're gonna introduce this new concept called rooms, and it's all built on something called WebRTC. And I turned around and I started going, okay, let me go learn about WebRTC, how you debug it. Like, I went back almost through the same cycle. How do I understand it? Let's go run the dog fooding. If there's a bug, let's go figure out how to debug it. And before I know it, I'm like right in the midst of the war room, the ship room, the daily stand-ups, whatever it need to do to help people connect with each other. And again, that moment seems much easier now because the ability to connect people with each other continued throughout the pandemic, and all the numbers were up to the right, and people are communicating and connecting with each other online. People upgraded the internet, they bought better cameras, they better microphones, and everything was looking great. We did not know any of that when I made that decision in March. In March of 2020, it looked like the world's gonna end, kind of deal. It's a pandemic. None of us experienced a pandemic ever in our lives, and people start talking about the Spanish flu and 100 years ago, and what was it like, which is completely turned out to be irrelevant to what we ended up going through. And so that again took like a couple of days. I didn't circle around the block. I circled within my house. Reflected a lot about what I need to be, what I need to do, and jumped in 100%. Quit my job, switch the job, come to a brand new team, come to a brand new environment, even though within it's the same company, but approach it with the same way that I need to be in the trenches. I need to learn as much as possible. I need to go rebuild my credibility again. And we need to go deliver something, of a great value to all these people who are locked down in their homes, and yet they want to maintain social connection. It was a lot more, I got a lot more satisfaction out of it because, unfortunately, the more bad news we got about, like, the vaccine is not here, something is going to happen, we're still going to lock down, and the more people connected and communicated and talked to each other using the tools and the technology that we provided them. So it's kind of like a bittersweet, but was also yet one of them hard decisions that I had to make during that time.
It's so interesting, like what you pointed out, the pattern sort of at the in different parts of your transitions that you've made, to then this pattern being here and identifying a problem, then going through the whole credibility rebuilding, learning, and then attacking that sort of significant challenge.